Some football teams have stadiums that are far too large for the number of fans who regularly support them. This creates the illusion of a small fanbase when, actually, the issue lies in disproportionate capacity. Today I'll show you some of the most notable cases. Hertha Berlin was relegated to the second division a couple of seasons ago, but has maintained its average attendance. The capital club's fanbase is extremely loyal, yet they seem few in number because the Olympic Stadium in Berlin is just too big. In fact, it's the only stadium in Germany that never sells out. Berlin is a beautiful and vast city that fully justifies a stadium of the Olympics magnitude, with its 74,000 available seats. However, the most populous capital within the European Union deserves a larger club than Hertha, which only manages to fill 69% of its home stadium. Rome's Olympic Stadium is the second largest in Italy, only behind San Siro, as Roma plays there and averages over 60,000 fans per match. The problem is not Roma, but rather the other team that shares the stadium, Lazio. Lazio's average attendance is 42,000 tifosi, 20,000 fewer than its city rival. In a stadium with a capacity of 70,000, Lazio fills only 59%, leaving too many empty seats when they play at home. Football culture in England is so strong that almost every club fills its stadium every other Sunday, regardless of the division in which they play. However, there are exceptions, and the most peculiar case is Blackburn Rovers. The Premier League champions in 1995, Blackburn doesn't even play in enormous stadium. Ewood Park has 31,000 seats, but has never sold out this century. With an average attendance of 50,500 spectators per match, the club only fills 50% of its stadium, an unusually low figure for English football. The legendary Maracanã reduced its original capacity from 180,000 spectators to 78,000, yet it's still too large even for Flamengo, the most popular team in Brazil. Their average attendance is around 50,000 fans per match. The situation is worse for Fluminense, which also plays at Maracanã. Despite recently winning its first Copa Libertadores, the team averages only 30,000 torcedores per game, meaning just 38% of the stadium is occupied when Fluminense plays. Several MLS teams play in NFL stadiums, leading to excessive capacity issues. Some examples are Atlanta United FC that fills 68% of Mercedes-Benz Stadium of the Falcons, Charlotte FC occupies 47% of Bank of America Stadium of the Panthers, Seattle Sounders uses 45% of Lumen Field of the Seahawks. New England Revolution reaches only 44% of Gillette Stadium of the Patriots, and Chicago Fire plays at Soldier Field of the Chicago Bears, which has a capacity of 61,500, but only draws 22,000 fans, just 35% of the available seats. The Yokohama International Stadium with 70,000 seats is the largest in Japan. It hosted the 2002 World Cup final and several Club World Cup finals. However, Yokohama Marinos, the local team, averages only 24,000 fans per match, occupying just 33% of the stadium. Despite Colombia having larger cities such as Bogotá, Medellín and Cali, its national team plays in Barranquilla at the Metropolitano Stadium, the largest in the country, with a capacity of 47,000 spectators. The problem is that its local club, Junior de Barranquilla, is a traditional but mid-sized team, with an average attendance of only 13,000 fans per game. This accounts for just 27% of the stadium's capacity, leaving the stands largely empty. For the 1990 World Cup, Bari was chosen as one of the 12 host cities. As a result, St. Nicholas Stadium was built, with a capacity of 58,000 spectators. However, even during the 5 World Cup matches it hosted, including the third place game featuring the underperforming host nation against England, it never sold out. The main issue is the team that currently plays on it, Bari, a club that fluctuates between Serie B and Serie C, with an average attendance of just 15,000 fans, just 26% of the stadium's capacity. This is a clear example of a venue built without proper foresight. This is the small Leoforos Stadium, home of Panathinaikos from 1923, until it was no longer viable in 2024. By then, Leoforos Stadium was falling apart and looked older than the Parthenon itself. The original plan was to renovate it, but that would have been too expensive. Instead, the decision was made to build a new stadium on the other side of the city. That will take a long time, if it ever happens. In the meantime, Panathinaikos will play at the Olympic Stadium in Athens. Ironically, Panathinaikos now plays its home games in a stadium that sounds like the name of its eternal rival, Olympiacos. The Olympic Stadium, which hosted the Athens 2004 Olympic, has a capacity of 70,000 spectators. However, only an average of 17,000 or 24% of that capacity is needed for Panathinaikos matches. In the Portuguese city of Porto, there is still many football clubs. Boavista is one of them, a team that almost nobody cares about. Its stadium, however, is beautiful. It is called Estadio do Bessa, featuring an intimidating panther at the entrance, a tower where another daring panther climbs, and 28,000 seats carefully painted in black and white like a chessboard. These details can only be appreciated because almost nobody pays to sit in them. Boavista averages 6,000 fans per game, occupying just 21% of its small stadium. Lanús played in the 2017 Copa Libertadores final. In 2013 it won the Copa Sudamericana and it was crowned Argentine champion in 2007 and 2016. With such achievements, the Granate has strong reasons to feel like a big club. Maybe too much, because that's why they decided to expand their stadium La Fortaleza to accommodate 47,000 fans, a stadium larger than those of Newell's Old Boys and Rosario Central, one of the most popular in the country. Clearly, they overdid it. Lanús is one of the clubs with the lowest attendance in the country, and that's a harsh reality that even a big stadium cannot hide. In fact, El Estadio Ciudad de Lanús has the opposite effect. It highlights the club's small fanbase. Their average attendance is 10,000 spectators, occupying just 1/5 of their massive stadium. The Belgium's league is just about 16 clubs. The second worst in attendance is Cercle Brugge, which ironically plays in the largest stadium in the country, the Jan Breydel Stadium, which it shares with Belgium's most popular team, Club Brugge. The city of Bruges has just over 100,000 inhabitants, not large enough to sustain two clubs with massive fanbases. The 29,000-seat stadium appears half full when Club Brugge plays and practically deserted when Cercle Brugge takes the field. Cercle averages just 6,500 loyal fans per game, filling only 19% of the stands. These are the Kaizer Chiefs of South Africa, and behind them you can see their enthusiastic supporters comfortably scattered across a stadium that is far too large. This is Soccer City in Johannesburg, the venue of the 2010 World Cup final and the second largest football stadium on the planet, only behind Camp Nou. Soccer City has room for 95,000 spectators. Far too many for Kaiser Chiefs. They sell a lot of tickets for their derby against Orlando Pirates. But for the rest of their matches, you'd think the games were being played behind closed doors because, with so many empty seats, it's such an enormous stadium. In fact, Kaiser Chiefs are South Africa's most popular and one of the highest average attendance, 17,000 fans per game, filling just 80% of the stands of the massive Yellow Elephant where they play. The Russian league is full of teams playing in massive empty stadiums. The largest of these cemeteries is the Luzhniki Stadium, host of the 2018 World Cup final and the 2008 Champions League final. Moscow has 5 professional clubs, each with its own stadium. Spartak Moscow plays in Lukoil Arena, CSKA Moscow in BIP Arena, Dynamo Moscow in BTV Arena, Lokomotiv Moscow in RSD Arena, and the smallest of them all, Torpedo Moscow, plays in the imposing Luzhniki. It's the 9th largest stadium in Europe, with 81,000 seats. Well, 79,500 of which gather dust every match day because Torpedo Moscow attracts an average of only 1,500 spectators per game, filling just under 2% of the stands every Sunday. Estadio Nacional Mané Garrincha is one of the 50 largest stadiums in the world. It was built in 1974 in Brasilia, and at the same time it wasn't that large. But for Brazil's capital to host the 2014 World Cup, it was expanded to hold 73,000 spectators. The renovation cost 690 million. The stadium hosted spectacular matches, such as Argentina vs Belgium and Brazil vs the Netherlands for 3rd place. Everything was fine until the World Cup ended. After that, nobody seemed to care about the small problem. Brasilia is Brazil's 3rd most populous city, but it has no professional football teams. 2 tiny clubs played at the national stadium, Brasilia and Legião. Not even relatives attend their matches. The capital's clubs don't even attract 1% of their stadium's capacity. It's always sad to see a club with an empty stadium. Maybe these teams should plan to change their stadium to a one that makes them feel wanted. And we also like to feel wanted. If you like this video, remember that you can subscribe and give a comment. That will make us feel with the full stadium.